Hello there, and welcome to The Dozing Explorer. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. It's a quiet evening, a perfect time to let the world outside just fade away. Your bed is soft, the lights are low, and there is nothing left for you to do. You've done enough for today. Now is your time to rest, to let your mind unspool, to find a place of perfect, quiet calm. Tonight, we're not going to try and solve any grand problems. We aren't going on a strenuous hike. Instead, we are going to drift. We are going to begin a gentle, meandering journey down a river so vast and so ancient it is almost a world unto itself. We're going to float on the gentle currents of the Amazon, the colossal river that breathes life into a continent. We will simply wander through its quiet mysteries, letting its gentle, flowing rhythm guide our thoughts. This river is more than just water. It is a flowing ribbon of life, a vast green heart for the entire planet. It is a force of nature so immense that it pushes back the ocean, a waterway that carries the rain from an entire continent in its powerful, silent embrace. The Amazon is the planet's pulse, a slow and steady heartbeat we can listen to. It holds a universe of its own beneath its surface, a world of shimmering scales and ancient, quiet creatures. It is the cradle for a forest that holds 1/10 of all known life on Earth. Its story is written in water, in silt, and in the canopy of 1,000,000,000,000 leaves. And tonight, we are just going to float along and listen to its softest whispers. And just before we begin our journey, if these quiet explorations help you unwind, if you find a little peace in these wanderings, perhaps consider gently liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It is a small, quiet way to help other sleepy souls find their way here to this same place of rest. It helps our little community of explorers grow, and I would be so grateful to have you along for our future drifts. But that is all. No pressure, no loud alarms. Just a gentle invitation. For now, your only task is to relax. There is nothing else you need to do, nothing to solve, nothing to remember. Settle into your pillows. Feel the weight of your body being supported. Feel the gentle pull of tiredness in your limbs. Let your breathing slow down. Your mind doesn't need to follow a story. It only needs to float. If a thought drifts by, let it go. If you miss a fact, it doesn't matter. You are here to rest. Give yourself permission to let go. Allow the journey to begin and allow your mind to drift, to sleep. The Amazon is not simply a river. It is a moving ocean of fresh water. The sheer volume of water it carries is almost impossible to imagine, discharging more than the next 7 largest rivers on Earth combined. Every single second, this immense river pours over 55 million gallons, or 209,000 cubic meters, of fresh water into the Atlantic Ocean. This flow is so powerful, so colossal that it actually pushes the salty ocean water back. For more than 100 miles or 160 kilometers out into the open sea, you can still taste the fresh water of the Amazon. It creates a vast lens of drinkable water on the surface of the saltwater ocean, a testament to the river's relentless, quiet power. It is a force of nature that changes the very character of the sea, a silent, freshwater giant making its presence known. While many know the Amazon as the world's largest river by sheer volume, its claim to being the longest is a gentle, ongoing mystery. For decades, the title of longest river on Earth belonged to the Nile in Africa. But measuring a river is a wonderfully complex thing. Where does it truly begin? Is it the furthest, tiniest year-round trickle of water? Following this logic, recent expeditions have traced the Amazon source high into the Andes Mountains of Peru, to a glacial stream on a mountain called Mizmi. This new starting point adds many miles to its total length, suggesting it is in fact longer than the Nile. The debate is soft, academic, and not truly important, but it is a lovely reminder that even in our modern world there are still fundamental, gentle arguments about the grandest features of our planet. The Great River is not a single, lonely channel but the heart of a vast circulatory system. It is fed by more than 1,100 different tributaries, smaller rivers that are themselves giants. 17 of these tributaries are over 930 miles or 1,500 kilometers long. Imagine a river larger than almost any in Europe or North America, and then imagine it is just one of many small branches feeding an even greater trunk. This vast network of water drains an area of land so immense it would cover nearly 40% of the entire South American continent. It is less a river and more a web of life, a vast, interconnected basin of flowing water, all slowly, patiently making its way to the sea. Deep beneath the flowing waters of the Amazon, there is another river, a hidden twin. Scientists have discovered a second ghostly river flowing in the same direction, but thousands of feet below the earth. They call it the Hamza River. It is not a river of water in the traditional sense, but a movement of salty or brackish water flowing incredibly slowly through the porous, sedimentary rock deep underground. It is vastly wider than the Amazon above it, perhaps 250 miles wide, but it moves at a pace that is almost geological. It is a slow creeping presence, a deep, hidden current that mirrors the path of the sunlit giant on the surface. It is a beautiful secret wonder, a reminder that the earth is layered with mysteries we are only just beginning to find. One of the most hypnotic sights on the Amazon is a place where two rivers meet but refuse to mix. Near the city of Manaus, the dark, almost black-colored water of the Rio Negro meets the pale, sandy-colored water of the Solimões River, which is the name for the upper Amazon. For over 4 miles or 6 kilometers, these two colossal bodies of water flow side by side in the same channel, perfectly distinct. You can see a sharp line, one side the color of dark tea, the other the color of milky coffee. The reason for this beautiful separation is their difference in density, temperature, and speed. The black water is warmer, slower, and acidic, while the white water is cooler, faster, and heavy with sediment. It is a gentle, flowing demonstration of physics, a visual poem of two giants touching but not embracing, until time and turbulence finally blend them into one. The Amazon rainforest, which the river feeds, is so vast and dense that it creates its own weather. The countless billions of trees in the basin are constantly drawing water up from the ground through their roots and releasing it as vapor from their leaves, a process called transpiration. This process releases a staggering amount of moisture into the air, so much that it forms a massive, invisible river of vapor in the sky, a phenomenon known as the flying river. This airborne river, wider and carrying as much water as the Amazon itself, is pushed by winds across the continent, eventually falling as the rain that feeds the southern parts of Brazil and even Argentina. The forest is its own gentle rainmaker, a beautiful, self-sustaining loop of water rising and falling. In the murky, slow-moving waters of the Amazon lives a creature that seems to belong to myth. It is the Amazon river dolphin, known locally as the boto. It is the largest of the freshwater dolphins, a beautiful and curious animal with a long, slender beak and a surprisingly flexible neck. But its most magical quality is its color. While they are born gray as the male dolphins age, they gradually turn a pale, lovely shade of pink. The color can become even more vibrant when they are excited or active, flushing a brighter pink, much like we do. They are not as easy to see as their ocean cousins, often surfacing with just a quiet puff of air. But to see a flash of pale pink in the brown water is to see a truly enchanted inhabitant of this ancient river. The river's surface is home to one of the most stunning plants in the world, the Victoria Amazonica, or the giant water lily. This is not a delicate small pad. It is a colossal green platter. A single lily pad can grow to be 10 feet or 3 meters across, with a strong, ribbed structure on its underside that makes it incredibly buoyant. A single pad is so strong it can easily support the weight of a small child. Its flowers are just as grand, blooming a brilliant white color on their first night, as large as a dinner plate, and filling the air with a sweet, pineapple-like scent. On their second night, they transform, changing their color to a deep pink or purple before sinking back into the water. It is a fleeting, beautiful piece of botanical art, floating on the slow currents. There is a gentle giant swimming in the Amazon's waters, a fish called the arapaima. It is one of the largest freshwater fish in the entire world, capable of growing over 10 feet long and weighing more than 400 pounds, as much as a large tiger. But what makes it so remarkable is that it breathes air. The Amazon's water is often low in oxygen, so the arapaima evolved a primitive lung. Every 10 to 20 minutes, it must come to the surface to gulp air, making a soft coughing sound that can be heard from far away. Its scales are incredibly tough, like a suit of flexible armor, so tough that even the sharp-toothed piranhas cannot bite through them. It is an ancient, armored, air-breathing fish, a slow-moving king of the river. 10. The Amazon is so wide for so much of its length that for its entire 4,000-mile journey, not a single bridge spans its width. From its high mountain source to its mouth at the Atlantic, there is no way to drive across it. This is not just because of its immense width, which can swell to over 30 miles during the wet season, but because of the land it flows through. The riverbanks are not solid, stable ground, but a constantly shifting, soft, alluvial floodplain. Building a foundation for a bridge in this soft, wet earth would be an almost impossible feat of engineering. And so the river remains a barrier and a highway, crossed only by boats and ferries. It is a colossal, unbroken ribbon of water, a river that has refused to be tamed by pavement and steel. The tributaries of the Amazon are not all the same. They are famously and beautifully color-coded. The rivers are classified as whitewater, blackwater, or clearwater, and each gets its color from the land it flows through. The whitewater rivers, like the main channel of the Amazon itself, are not truly white, but a pale, milky brown. This color comes from the heavy load of sediment and silt they carry down from the Andes Mountains, soil that is rich in nutrients. This sediment is what makes the floodplain so fertile, a gift from the mountains delivered by the water. These rivers are the builders, the land carriers, painting the landscape with a fine layer of mountain dust. In contrast to the sediment-heavy whitewater rivers, there are the blackwater rivers, like the famous Rio Negro. This water is not muddy, but startlingly dark and clear, the color of strong black tea. This deep, transparent color comes from the land it drains. These rivers flow through ancient sandy soils and dense forests where leaves and other plant matter have been slowly decaying for thousands of years. This decay releases tannins and humic acids into the water, the same gentle compounds that give tea its color. This water is acidic and very poor in nutrients, creating a completely different and starkly beautiful aquatic world. It is a river stained with the essence of the forest itself. The third type of river in this vast basin is the Clearwater River. As their name suggests, these rivers, like the Tapajos or Xingu, are beautifully transparent. You can often see the riverbed many feet below. These rivers flow from very old crystalline rock formations in the Brazilian highlands, land that has been worn down for eons and has very little soil or sediment to give. The water is clean and pure, almost like rainwater, with very few dissolved minerals or nutrients. Each of these three river types, white, black, and clear, creates its own unique ecosystem, its own special world of fish and plants, all flowing together to join the great Amazon. It is a beautiful trinity of water, a mosaic of colors flowing to the sea. See, the sheer force of the Amazon does not just change the ocean, it actually has a tiny, measurable effect on the sea level in the Caribbean. The massive, unrelenting flow of fresh water that pours into the Atlantic is caught by powerful ocean currents that sweep it northwest. up towards the Caribbean islands. This colossal addition of water, 20% of all the fresh water entering the world's oceans from one single spot, is enough to slightly, almost imperceptibly, raise the average sea level in that region. It is a quiet reminder of how interconnected our planet is, that a river breathing in the Andes can cause the sea to rise just a little, thousands of miles away. Situ, among the many thousands of fish species in the river, there is one that is famous for its terrifying reputation. But the truth is much gentler. The red-bellied piranha, with its famously sharp teeth, is known in myths as a ferocious predator of large animals. But in reality, they are primarily scavengers. They play a vital role in the river's health, acting as a cleanup crew for the ecosystem. They are also, surprisingly, a very nervous fish. They travel in large schools or shoals, not for hunting, but for protection. It is a defensive strategy to confuse predators, as there is safety in numbers. While they can be dangerous, they are a far cry from the monsters of legend. Just another specialized creature in a complex, watery world. 16. The Amazon basin is a cradle of unbelievable biodiversity, a place where new species are discovered almost constantly. It is home to at least 40,000 different plant species, and that is only what has been catalogued so far. There are more than 3,000 known species of freshwater fish, more than any other river system on Earth. The forest that the river supports is home to 1 in 10 of all known species on the planet. A single hectare of rainforest, an area about the size of 2.5 football fields, can contain more tree species than all of North America. It is a living, breathing library of life, a place of endless variation and wonder. But there is a tiny, delicate-looking frog that lives in the rainforest, known as the poison dart frog. It is one of the most brilliantly colored creatures on Earth, painted in vivid shades of blue, yellow, red, and orange. These stunning colors are not for beauty, but are a warning. They are a sign to predators that the frog's skin is coated in a powerful toxin. These frogs are incredibly small, many no larger than a paperclip, and they hold their poison as a silent, powerful defense. They are not creatures of the river itself, but of the humid forest floor it sustains, a tiny, vibrant jewel of danger and beauty living amongst the giant roots. 8. The river and the forest it feeds are in a constant, slow-motion dance of life and decay. When the massive trees of the rainforest fall, they often fall into the river. They become snags, underwater structures that are incredibly important. These fallen trees create a new complex habitat for fish and insects. Algae grows on the submerged wood, feeding small fish, and the tangled branches provide a perfect hiding place from predators. An armored catfish, a creature covered in bony plates like a tiny knight, has even evolved to eat the wood itself. It uses its sucker mouth to rasp away at the wood, helping to break it down. It is a beautiful cycle, where the death of a forest giant provides a home and food for the river's smallest inhabitants. D. In an almost unbelievable feat of global connection, the Amazon rainforest is fertilized by the Sahara Desert. The Sahara, the largest hot desert in the world, is a vast expanse of sand and dust on another continent entirely. Every year, powerful winds lift hundreds of millions of tons of this fine dust high into the atmosphere. This dust is carried all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, a journey of thousands of miles. This dust is rich in phosphorus, a critical nutrient that is otherwise washed away by the heavy rains in the Amazon basin. This airborne gift from the desert settles over the rainforest, replenishing the soil and feeding the very trees that breathe life into the river. It is a whisper from one continent to another, a reminder that even the desert and the rainforest are connected. The Amazon is a river of ghosts because it is so ancient and the forest so dense. Many tribes and civilizations have lived and died along its banks, leaving only the faintest traces. For a long time, it was believed the rainforest was too nutrient-poor to support large, complex societies. But scientists have discovered vast patches of strange, dark, incredibly fertile soil called terra preta, or dark earth. This soil is not natural. It was man-falsified, created hundreds or thousands of years ago by indigenous people who mixed charcoal, pottery shards, and other organic waste into the soil. These patches of rich earth are the faint footprints of large lost civilizations, a sign that the forest was once home to many more people than we can imagine, a secret written in the soil itself. High in the canopy of the rainforest, far above the river, lives one of the slowest and most serene creatures on Earth, the sloth. A sloth's entire life is adapted to moving at an incredibly slow, deliberate pace. It moves so slowly, in fact, that algae actually grows on its fur, giving it a greenish tint that acts as perfect camouflage among the leaves. They spend almost their entire lives hanging upside down from branches, eating, sleeping, and even giving birth in this position. Their grip is so powerful that a sloth can remain hanging from a branch even after it has passed away. They are the ultimate symbols of patience and stillness, a perfect embodiment of the forest's quiet, unhurried life. The mighty river did not always flow in its present direction. For millions of years, the Amazon actually flowed westward, emptying into the Pacific Ocean. Its course was the opposite of what it is today. This all changed with one of the slowest, most powerful events in planetary history, the rise of the Andes Mountains. As the South American continent drifted west, it crumpled against another tectonic plate, and over millions of years, this slow-motion collision pushed the Andes up from the Earth. This new colossal wall of mountains blocked the river's path, creating a massive inland sea. Eventually, the water found a new way out, reversing its flow to carve a new path eastward across the continent to the Atlantic. The river we see today is a monument to that immense geological change. 23. There is a fish in the Amazon that is not truly an eel, but has a name that sounds like a machine, the electric eel. It is a long, dark fish that navigates the murky water, not with its eyes, which are very poor, but by emitting a low-level electrical field around its body. It acts like a kind of radar, sensing any disruptions in the field. But its true power is its defense. When threatened or hunting, it can unleash a powerful electrical shock of up to 650 volts, more than 5 times the power of a standard wall socket. This is more than enough to stun its prey or ward off a predator. It is a living battery, a creature that has mastered the very electricity of life in the river's dark water. The water of the Amazon rises and falls with a dramatic, yearly pulse. This is the flood season, and it is not a destructive event, but the very heartbeat of the entire ecosystem. During the wet season, the river and its tributaries swell with rain, growing so wide that they overflow their banks and merge, flooding an area of the forest as large as the entire state of Florida. This creates a magical temporary world called the Varzea, or the flooded forest. Fish swim among the tree trunks, feeding on fruits and seeds that fall directly into the water. For the people of the river, life adapts, and houses are built on high stilts with walkways connecting a village that is, for half the year, floating. It is a world in constant, gentle transformation. The cacao tree, the source of all chocolate, is native to the Amazon basin. It did not grow in neat plantations but wild, hidden in the understory of the giant rainforest trees close to the river's banks. The tree produces a large pod-like fruit, and inside, nestled in a sweet white pulp, are the seeds we know as cocoa beans. For thousands of years, the indigenous peoples of the Amazon have used this plant, not just for the seeds, but for the sweet, tangy pulp that surrounds them. The tree is a perfect example of the forest's hidden gifts, a plant that would one day be treasured by the entire world, but which began its story as a quiet resident of the Amazonian shade. There is a small, unassuming catfish known as the armored catfish that has a truly unusual diet. It eats wood. While many creatures may live in or on fallen trees, this catfish, part of the loricariid family, has specialized spoon-shaped teeth that it uses to scrape and rasp at submerged wood on the river bottom. It doesn't get all its nutrition from the wood itself, which is very hard to digest, but from the rich community of algae, microorganisms, and other tiny life forms that live on the wood's surface. In the process, it ingests a great deal of wood fiber, helping to break down the fallen trees and return their nutrients to the river. It is a tiny, armored recycling machine, perfectly adapted to its woody home. 70. In the Amazon, there is a type of fig tree, a strangler fig, that begins its life in a way that sounds almost sinister, but is a marvel of adaptation. A bird or a monkey eats a fig fruit and deposits the seed high in the branches of a host tree. From there, the seed sprouts, sending a long, thin root down to the forest floor. Once it takes hold in the soil, it begins to grow, sending more roots down and wrapping them around the host tree in a beautiful lattice-work embrace. Over many decades, these roots grow thicker, stronger, and fuse together, forming a new, hollow trunk around the original tree, which eventually dies, leaving the strangler fig standing in its place. It is a slow, patient, and successful strategy for reaching the precious sunlight in the crowded forest. The rubber tree is one of the most famous plants of the Amazon, a tree that changed the world. This tall, unassuming tree, Hevea brasiliensis, is the source of natural latex. When the bark is cut, a milky white, sticky sap oozes out. This sap was used by the indigenous people of the Amazon for centuries to create waterproof bags and bouncing balls for games. When its properties were discovered by the outside world, it sparked a massive rubber boom that brought immense wealth and terrible suffering to the region. The tree itself is a gentle producer, healing its own cuts, and for a long time, it would only grow in the Amazon, a secret of the rainforest that could not be cultivated elsewhere, until its seeds were smuggled away. Far from being a flat, monotonous jungle, the Amazon basin is a landscape of subtle and surprising variety. While much of it is a low-lying floodplain, the river also flows past ancient tabletop mountains called tapuis. These are not the jagged peaks of the Andes, but colossal, sheer-sided plateaus that rise thousands of feet straight up from the forest floor. They are the remnants of an ancient sandstone plateau that has been eroding for millions of years. Their flat, isolated summits are so cut off from the world below that they have been called islands in time, home to unique plants and animals that are found nowhere else on Earth. They are silent, stone giants that watch over the flowing river far below. One of the most delicate and diverse families of plants in the rainforest is the orchid. There are tens of thousands of different orchid species, and many of them are epiphytes, meaning they do not grow in the soil. Instead, they make their homes high on the branches and trunks of other trees, drawing their moisture and nutrients from the air and the rain. This strategy allows them to compete for sunlight in the dense canopy. Their flowers are some of the most complex and beautiful in the plant kingdom, evolving in tandem with specific insects or hummingbirds for pollination, with some flowers perfectly mimicking the shape or scent of a female insect to trick the male into pollinating it. It is a world of intricate, airborne beauty. Bull sharks, which are famous for being aggressive ocean predators, have a remarkable secret. They can live in fresh water. They have been found swimming hundreds, even thousands of miles up the Amazon River, far from the salt of the Atlantic. They possess a special, highly adapted kidney and glands that allow them to osmoregulate, essentially recycling the vital salts within their bodies, which allows them to move from the ocean into the river. This adaptation makes them one of the few sharks in the world that can thrive in both environments. A true traveler of the world's waters and a surprising, powerful visitor in the heart of the Amazon Gordi. The Amazon's water level is not the only thing that pulses. The very land itself breathes. During the wet season, the sheer, unimaginable weight of the floodwaters, trillions of tons of water, presses down on the river basin. This weight is so immense that it actually causes the Earth's crust in that region to sink or subside by several inches. Then, as the dry season comes and the water flows out into the Atlantic, this colossal weight is lifted. The land, released from the burden, slowly and gently rebounds, rising back up again. It is a slow, seasonal breath, a gentle rising and falling of the entire continent, all orchestrated by the coming and going of the rain. Among the brightest flashes of color in the rainforest are the macaws, the largest and most spectacular of all parrots. These birds are often seen flying in pairs, with their long, pointed tails streaming behind them, calling to each other in loud, raucous voices. Their feathers are a stunning mosaic of scarlet, blue, yellow, and green. But this beauty is not just for show. It is part of a deep, lifelong bond, as macaws often mate for life, which can be 60 years or more. They are a constant living presence in the canopy, a vibrant splash of color against the endless green of the forest. There is a tiny primate, no bigger than a squirrel, that lives in the Amazon, the pygmy marmoset. It is the smallest monkey in the entire world. It is so small that it can comfortably cling to a human finger. These tiny creatures are tree dwellers, and they have a specialized diet. They use their sharp, chisel-like teeth to gnaw small holes in the bark of trees and vines, and then they patiently wait to lap up the sap and gum that oozes out. They live in small family groups, communicating with high-pitched bird-like chirps and whistles that are almost too high for the human ear to hear. It is a tiny, delicate whisper of life, hidden in the immensity of the forest. 2. The rainforest floor is a world of its own, a dark, humid place where very little sunlight reaches. It is a world of decomposition and new life. This is the domain of the leafcutter ant. These ants are the farmers of the forest. You can see them traveling in long, determined lines, each one carrying a piece of a green leaf, held over its head like a tiny parasol. They are not eating the leaves. They are taking them deep into their vast, underground nests, some of which can be as large as a small house. There, they chew the leaves into a pulp and use it to grow a special kind of fungus, which is what they actually eat. They are tiny, industrious gardeners, tending their hidden mushroom farms in the darkness. The kapok tree is one of the true giants of the Amazon, a true emergent tree that towers over the rest of the canopy, sometimes reaching heights of 200 feet. Its trunk is massive and often covered in large, conical thorns, a defense against animals. But its most striking feature is its base, which is supported by huge, plank-like buttress roots. These roots can be as tall as a person and extend 30 feet out from the tree. They are not deep roots, but wide ones, designed to act as a stabilizing tripod for the colossal tree in the thin, wet rainforest soil. It is a beautiful piece of natural engineering, a living anchor that allows the kapok to soar above all others. 37. In the dense jungle, there is a flower called the heliconia, also known as the lobster claw. It is not a soft, delicate petal, but a series of brightly colored, waxy bracts that look like a stack of vibrant, painted claws in red, orange, and yellow. These structures are not the flower itself. The true small flowers are hidden deep inside. This unique shape is perfectly designed for its pollinator, the hummingbird. A hummingbird's long, curved beak fits perfectly into the bract to reach the nectar inside. The plant is a bright geometric sculpture, a living puzzle piece that has evolved in a perfect partnership with the tiny, shimmering birds of the forest. And there is a small brown bird that lives along the riverbanks called the hutsin. It is a strange and wonderful bird, sometimes called the stink bird because of the unpleasant, manure-like odor it produces from its unique digestive system, which is more like a cow's than a bird's, fermenting the leaves it eats. But its most ancient feature is seen only in its young. Baby Hudson chicks are born with two small, functional claws on the bends of their wings. If they fall from their nest, which is often built over water, they can use these tiny reptilian claws to climb back up the branches to safety. It is a living, breathing echo of the distant, dinosaur-like ancestors from which all birds evolved. The Amazon is home to a family of plants called bromeliads, which are famous for their unique way of life. Many of them are epiphytes, living on other trees, and their leaves grow in a tight, overlapping rosette at the base. This special shape forms a central tank or cup that is perfectly designed to catch and store rainwater. This small, private pool of water high in the canopy becomes a complete miniature ecosystem of its own. It becomes a nursery for tadpoles, a home for aquatic insects, and a drinking fountain for birds and monkeys. It is a tiny, self-contained aquatic world, a small gift of water held by a single plant, far above the forest floor. The great river's mouth, where it finally meets the Atlantic Ocean, is not a simple delta. It is a vast, complex maze of islands, channels, and sandbars. The largest of these islands, Marijo Island, is a colossal piece of land. At its widest, it is nearly the size of Switzerland. This one island, sitting in the very mouth of the river, is a world of its own, with vast plains that flood seasonally, becoming a paradise for water birds. The river's end is not just a mouth, but an entire archipelago, a final, grand gesture of land and water mixing before the river's 4,000-mile journey finally comes to an end. There is a vibrant, scarlet-colored bird that lives in the flooded forests and coastal mangroves near the river's mouth, the scarlet ibis. These birds are a breathtaking, uniform, brilliant red. This color is not something they are born with, but something they acquire from their diet. They feed on large quantities of small crustaceans like shrimp that are rich in a pigment called beta-carotene. This pigment is transferred to their feathers as they grow, staining them their signature, fiery color. In the deep green of the mangroves, a flock of these birds taking flight is like a sudden, beautiful fire in the sky, a living example of the phrase, "You are what you eat." Situate in the dark, deep channels of the river, there is a strange group of fish known as the knife fish. They are often dark, flat, and sinuous, swimming with a beautiful, rippling motion of a long fin on their underside. They are nocturnal, and like the electric eel, they have poor eyesight and navigate the world with a weak electrical field. They use this field to see in the darkness, sensing objects, predators, and prey. But they also use this electricity to communicate. Each species, and even each individual, can modulate its electrical discharge, sending out signals that are like a private electrical song, a series of pulses and waves that other knife fish can sense and understand. It is a silent, invisible conversation happening in the darkest parts of the river. The very name of the river comes from a legend, a story from the very first European explorer to travel its length, Francisco de Orellana. In the 1540s, he reported being attacked by fierce warriors with long hair who fought alongside the men. He compared them to the Amazons, the race of warrior women from ancient Greek mythology, and so the river was named for them. For a long time, this was dismissed as a myth, but it is very likely he and his men encountered indigenous tribes where both men and women fought to defend their homes, or perhaps they simply mistook long-haired male warriors for women. Either way, the river bears the name of this legendary encounter, a name that evokes a sense of wildness, power, and mystery. The rainforest that the river supports is a vertical world, a skyscraper of life organized into distinct layers. At the very top is the emergent layer, the few giant trees like the kapok that break through the roof of the forest. Below them is the canopy, the main dense roof of the forest, a continuous 30-foot thick ceiling of leaves and branches where most of the life, the monkeys, birds, and insects, is found. Below this is the understory, a dark, still, and humid world of smaller trees and shrubs. And finally, there is the forest floor, a place of shadow and decay where sunlight barely touches. Each layer is a different world, with its own climate and its own unique set of inhabitants, all connected by the central trunk of the great trees. While the piranha gets the most attention, the most genuinely feared fish in the Amazon is a tiny parasitic catfish called the candiru. It is a very small, thin, almost translucent fish, making it nearly invisible in the water. It is a parasite that feeds on blood. It is normally found in the gill chambers of larger fish, where it lodges itself with sharp spines and feeds on the fish's blood. Its fearsome reputation among humans comes from a persistent and terrifying local belief that the fish is attracted to urine in the water and can swim up and lodge itself in the human urethra. While documented cases are incredibly rare and debated, the fear it inspires is a powerful part of the river's folklore, a tiny, almost invisible monster. The Amazon is not just a river of water, it is a river of sound. But as night falls, the symphony changes completely. The calls of the birds and monkeys fade, and a new orchestra takes over. This is the sound of the insects and the amphibians. Thousands upon thousands of frogs and toads begin their calls, a vast chorus of clicks, chirps, and deep, resonant croaks. The air fills with the soaring, high-pitched hum of cicadas and the whirring of countless other insects. It is a wall of sound, a hypnotic, overwhelming, and deeply ancient chorus. It is the sound of the forest at night, a living, breathing pulse of sound that is as vast and powerful as the river itself. The great river is so powerful that it creates its own tide. Far from the ocean, hundreds of miles upriver, the river still experiences a tidal bore, a phenomenon known as the pororoca. This is a massive tidal wave that rushes up the river against its natural current. It is caused when the tides of the Atlantic Ocean, particularly during the spring, are so strong that they force their way into the river's mouth, creating a single, massive wave that can be up to 13 feet high or 4 meters. This wave can travel for hundreds of miles inland, and its roar can be heard for 30 minutes before it arrives. It is a spectacular and dangerous event, a testament to the eternal contest between the river and the sea. In the forest, there is a partnership between a species of ant and a particular tree. The acacia tree, that is a perfect example of coevolution. The tree provides everything the ants need to live. It has large, hollow thorns that the ants use as natural, protected nests. It produces a special nectar at the base of its leaves for the ants to drink, and it even grows tiny, protein-rich food packets on the tips of its leaves, just for the ants to eat. In return, the ants act as the tree's personal bodyguards. They are fiercely aggressive, and if any other insect or even a large animal tries to eat the tree's leaves, the ants swarm out from their thorn homes and attack, stinging and biting the invader. It is a perfect, living alliance. One of the strangest and most wonderful inhabitants of the canopy is the glass frog. It is a small, nocturnal frog, and from above it looks like a typical bright green tree frog. But if you were to see it from underneath, you would understand its name. Its belly skin is completely, beautifully translucent. You can look right through it and see its tiny internal organs. You can see its little heart beating, its digestive tract, and its bones. This incredible camouflage is a defense, helping it blend into the green leaves. When it sits still, the light passes through its edges, blurring its outline and making it almost invisible to predators. It is a fragile, see-through jewel of the forest. The Amazon is a river that flows through time. Because its basin is so vast and its geography so complex, it has acted as a cradle for life, a safe harbor during past climate changes. During ice ages, when much of the world became cold and dry, the Amazon basin remained a warm, wet refuge, allowing species to survive and continue to evolve. This has made it a living museum, a place that holds an unbroken genetic library stretching back millions of years. The sheer, staggering variety of life there today is a direct result of this stability, a living testament to the river's role as an ancient, enduring sanctuary for life on Earth. The forest is filled with masters of disguise, but none are as perfect as the leaf-tailed gecko. This small lizard has evolved a body that is a flawless imitation of a dead, dried leaf. Its skin is mottled with shades of brown and grey, its body is flattened, and its tail is wide, flat, and veined, precisely like a decaying leaf on the forest floor. It even has small flaps of skin along its body that break up its outline, making it blend seamlessly with the leaf litter. It will spend its days motionless, an act of perfect patient stillness, waiting for an unsuspecting insect to pass by. It is a tiny, living piece of camouflage, a creature that has become the very thing it hides among. Bull. There is a mammal in the Amazon that has taken to the trees so completely. It almost resembles a bear, but it is a prehensile-tailed porcupine. Unlike its ground-dwelling cousins, this porcupine has a long, muscular tail that is completely free of quills. It uses this tail as a fifth limb, a powerful grasping hand to anchor itself to branches as it climbs. Its body is covered in a dense coat of sharp, barbed quills, a formidable defense. But it is a gentle, nocturnal creature, moving slowly through the canopy in search of leaves and fruit. It is a wonderful example of adaptation, a creature of the ground that has redesigned itself for a life in the sky, carrying its armor with it. The river itself is a massive, moving landscape, and it is constantly changing its own shape. The water carries a tremendous load of silt and sand from the Andes. When the water slows, this silt settles, building up to form new land, new sandbars and new islands in the middle of the channel. At the same time, the fast-moving water on the outer bends of the river is constantly eroding the banks, cutting into the land. This means the river is in a constant slow-motion state of wandering or meandering. It snakes across the floodplain, carving new paths and abandoning old ones, leaving behind crescent-shaped oxbow lakes. The entire Amazon floodplain is a beautiful, shifting mosaic, a map that is being redrawn by the water every single day. One of the most powerful and elusive predators in the Amazon is not a mammal, but a reptile, the black caiman. It is the largest predator in the entire ecosystem, a massive crocodilian that can grow to be over 16 feet long, larger than a saltwater crocodile. With its dark, almost black, scaly hide, it is perfectly camouflaged in the murky, blackwater rivers and lakes where it prefers to hunt. It is a patient, nocturnal hunter, often lying in wait with only its eyes and nostrils above the water. It is an apex predator, a living relic from the age of dinosaurs and a silent, powerful guardian of the river's deepest pools. The rainforest canopy is a place of such intense competition for sunlight that plants have evolved incredible strategies to reach it. One of the most famous is the liana, which is not a single species, but a name for any long, woody vine. These vines start their lives on the dark forest floor, but they do not waste energy building a thick, supportive trunk. Instead, they use the giant trees as a living scaffold. They send out tendrils, hooks, or simply twist their way up the trunks of trees, climbing for decades to reach the bright, sunlit canopy. Once there, they spread their leaves, forming a vast, green network that can link the crowns of multiple trees together like a living, tangled net, a highway for monkeys and insects. 6. In the Amazon, there is a giant otter, a creature that is a picture of sleek, powerful grace. This is not the small, shy river otter of North America. It is a colossal animal growing up to 6 feet long from nose to tail, the size of a person. They are incredibly social, living in large, noisy, extended family groups that hunt together, play together, and defend their territory with loud, barking calls. They are perfectly adapted to the water with webbed feet and a powerful tail, and are masterful hunters of fish. They are often called river wolves for their cooperative hunting and their bold, curious nature. To see a family of giant otters logging as they float on their backs is to see the joyful, communal spirit of the river. One of the most curious-looking mammals in the forest is the tapir. It is a large, gentle, pig-like animal, but it is actually related to horses and rhinoceroses. It is a shy, nocturnal creature weighing hundreds of pounds, and it has a very distinct, flexible, trunk-like snout. It uses this prehensile snout, which is a fusion of its nose and upper lip, to grasp leaves, twigs, and fruits and pull them into its mouth. It is also an excellent swimmer and will often wallow in rivers or mud to cool off and avoid predators. It is an ancient creature, a living fossil that has changed very little in millions of years, a gentle, fruit-eating giant of the forest floor. The soil of the Amazon rainforest is, paradoxically, incredibly thin and nutrient-poor. The jungle appears lush and fertile, but this is a grand illusion. The fertility of the Amazon is not in its soil, but in the plants themselves. It is a closed-loop system of green cycling. When a leaf falls or a tree dies, it lands on the warm, humid forest floor and is almost immediately broken down by a vast army of fungi, termites, and bacteria. The nutrients are released and are instantly sucked back up by the dense, shallow roots of the living trees. The nutrients are in constant, rapid motion, held in the living biomass, a system so efficient that almost nothing is ever wasted, and very little is left for the soil itself. There is a monkey in the Amazon that has a roar which belies its size. The howler monkey, a medium-sized primate, is one of the loudest land animals on Earth. The males have a specially enlarged hollow hyoid bone in their throats that acts as a resonance chamber, an amplifier for their calls. At dawn and at dusk, the troop will begin to sing, a deep, guttural, wind-like roar that can travel for 3 miles through the dense forest. This sound is not for aggression, but for spacing. It is a way for different groups to tell each other, this part of the forest is ours, a powerful, haunting, and beautiful way to maintain their territory without conflict. The river is home to a fish that is a true living fossil, the lungfish. This remarkable eel-like creature has not only gills to breathe in the water, but also a true primitive lung, very similar to our own. This is a critical adaptation for life in the Amazon, where seasonal droughts can cause ponds and streams to dry up. When this happens, the lungfish can burrow deep into the wet mud. It secretes a mucus cocoon around its body to stay moist, and then begins to breathe air with its lung, entering a state of suspended animation called estivation. It can remain in this state, sleeping in the mud, for months or even years, until the rains return and the river rises, a perfect, patient survivor. 61. Hidden in the forest's undergrowth is a small, feathered hunter called the antbird. This bird does not, as its name might suggest, eat ants. Instead, it is a professional follower, a creature that has built its life around the great, swarming colonies of army ants. Army ants do not build permanent nests, but are in a constant, nomadic march across the forest floor, a moving carpet of millions of biting insects that devours every other insect, spider, or small lizard in its path. The antbirds have learned to follow these swarms, not to eat the army ants, but to perch just above the swarm, cleverly snatching the other insects and spiders that are flushed from their hiding places, trying to escape the ant tide. One of the most dazzling and fleeting sights in the Amazon is a swarm of morpho butterflies. These are giant butterflies with a wingspan that can be 8 inches across as wide as a human hand. Their upper wings are not pigmented blue, but are covered in millions of microscopic, iridescent scales. These scales reflect light in a very specific way, creating an intense, shimmering, metallic blue that is almost blinding in a patch of sunlight. As the butterfly flies with its slow, floating wing beats, it flashes this brilliant blue, and then, as it closes its wings, it vanishes, showing only the dull brown, eye-spotted underside that is perfect camouflage. It is like a flickering blue light, a tiny piece of the sky that has come to life in the forest. The giant armored catfish of the Amazon have an unusual and dedicated form of parenting. The male catfish, often called the hard-headed catfish, takes on the full responsibility of childcare. After the female lays her eggs, the male will carefully scoop up the entire clutch, which can be hundreds of eggs, into his mouth. He will not eat for the entire incubation period, which can last for weeks. He holds the eggs in his mouth, gently swishing water over them to keep them oxygenated and protecting them from any predators. Even after they hatch, the tiny baby fish will remain in his mouth for a time, using it as a safe, mobile nursery, a testament to a father's patient, silent devotion taught. High in the canopy, there is a small monkey with a face that looks like a beautiful miniature mask. The squirrel monkey is small, agile, and has a bright golden yellow fur on its back and limbs, with a white Roman arch of fur around its black, inquisitive eyes. They are not quiet, solitary creatures. They live in massive groups, some of the largest of any primate, with troops that can number 500 individuals. A group this large moving through the canopy is a constant, chattering, whistling, and rustling presence. They move like a wave through the trees, foraging for insects and fruits, a great, golden, and social river of monkeys flowing through the green roof of the world. 65. The river is home to a gentle giant, a mammal that is entirely aquatic and has a calm, slow-moving grace, the Amazonian manatee. This is the smallest of the manatees, but it is still a huge animal, weighing up to 1,000 pounds and growing 10 feet long. It is a slow, peaceful herbivore, a sea cow of the river, which feeds only on aquatic plants, using its prehensile lips to grasp them. It has a beautiful slate-gray skin, often with a white patch on its belly. It is a shy, quiet creature, often living in the blackwater lakes, and it can stay submerged for over 15 minutes before surfacing, almost silently, to take a gentle breath of air. It is the serene underwater gardener of the Amazon. One of the most valuable trees in the Amazon, besides the rubber tree, is the Brazil nut tree. This is another giant of the emergent layer, one of the tallest and longest living trees in the rainforest, often living for over 500 years. It produces a large, heavy fruit that is the size and weight of a cannonball. This woody outer fruit is so hard that almost no animal can open it. When it falls from the high canopy, it hits the ground with tremendous force. The only animal that can reliably open it is a small, large-toothed rodent called the agouti, which gnaws its way in to get at the seeds, the Brazil nuts, inside. The agouti eats some seeds and buries others for later, and in doing so it becomes the primary and unwitting planter of the next generation of giant trees. Why? There is a fish in the river that is built like a living tank, the hoplosternum, or tamuata. It is a type of catfish that is covered from head to tail in an armor of thick, bony, overlapping plates, like a medieval coat of mail. This armor makes it almost impossible for predators to eat. But like the lungfish, it has another more remarkable adaptation. Its intestines are specially modified to absorb oxygen from the air. When its pool of water becomes stagnant and low in oxygen, it will swim to the surface and gulp a bubble of air, passing it into its gut to breathe. It is an armored, air-gulping survivor, perfectly equipped for the river's changing moods. The jungle floor is home to a creature that seems to defy categories. The tamandua, or lesser anteater, is a beautiful animal, often with a striking golden tan fur and a black vest pattern on its back. Like the porcupine, it is a tree climber, equipped with a long prehensile tail and huge sharp claws which it uses to rip open termite mounds and ant nests. It has no teeth at all. Instead, it has an incredibly long, sticky tongue which can be 16 inches long that it uses to lap up thousands of ants and termites a day. It is a quiet, solitary, and wonderfully strange-looking creature, a specialized hunter of the forest's tiniest and most abundant prey. Tutan 69, one of the most intelligent and charismatic birds of the Amazon, is the toucan. It is famous, of course, for its impossibly large and colorful bill, which can be a third of its total body length. This bill, in shades of orange, yellow, and black, is not the heavy, solid weapon it appears to be. It is actually a honeycomb of light, hollow bone, making it surprisingly lightweight. It is not used for fighting, but as a delicate tool for reaching fruits on branches that are too small to support the bird's weight. The bill is also, as scientists have recently discovered, a radiator. It is filled with blood vessels, and the bird can flush blood into it to dump excess body heat, acting as a beautiful, built-in air conditioner. 70. The Amazonian forest is home to the largest snake in the world, the green anaconda. This is not the longest snake. That title belongs to the reticulated python, but it is by far the heaviest and most powerful. An adult anaconda can weigh over 500 pounds and be as thick as a man's torso. It is a truly aquatic snake, spending most of its life in the slow-moving water, swamps, and flooded forests. Its eyes and nostrils are placed on the very top of its head, so it can lie almost completely submerged, waiting patiently for prey, like a tapir or a capybara, to come to the water's edge. It is a silent, patient, and colossal hunter, the true heavyweight of the river. There is a frog in the Amazon that has a truly magical and very loud voice. The blacksmith tree frog is small, but the male has a call that is uncannily like the sound of a hammer striking a metal anvil. It produces a loud, high-pitched tink, tink, tink sound, a clear, metallic note that cuts through the dense chorus of the jungle. The males will gather in small groups and call back and forth to each other, creating a rhythm as if a group of tiny, invisible smiths were working in the trees. It is one of the most distinctive and surprising sounds of the night, a tiny frog with a voice of metal. Siak, the largest rodent in the world, makes its home along the banks of the Amazon. The capybara is a gentle, semi-aquatic animal that looks like a giant guinea pig and can weigh up to 150 pounds. It is a social creature living in large groups, and it is an excellent swimmer with webbed feet. It spends much of its time in the water or grazing on grasses and aquatic plants at the river's edge. They are famously and wonderfully placid. Other animals seem to sense this, and it is not uncommon to see a capybara resting with birds or even small monkeys perched peacefully on its back. It is the calm, quiet, gentle giant of the riverbank. There is a remarkable small fish in the river called the four-eyed fish. It does not, in fact, have four separate eyes, but it has two eyes that are perfectly adapted for a life spent at the very surface of the water. Each eye is split in two horizontally. The top half of the eye is designed to see in the air, with a lens that is shaped for looking at the sky and the riverbank, watching for predators like birds. The bottom half of the eye, at the same time, is designed to see underwater, with a lens shaped for spotting prey or predators in the murky water. It floats at the waterline, a living periscope, perfectly seeing both worlds, the world above and the world below, all at once. The rainforest is a place of intense, quiet warfare between plants. Every plant is in a desperate, slow-motion race for the sun. One of the strangest competitors in this race is a palm tree, the walking palm. This tree has a unique root system. Instead of a single trunk, its base is a cone of stilt-like roots that prop it up. It has been a long-held and beautiful local legend that these roots allow the tree to walk across the forest floor, moving slowly, step by step, towards patches of sunlight. While scientists have largely debated this, the roots do give the tree a remarkable ability to stay stable in the wet, soft and shifting soil of the floodplain, a living, stilted wanderer. The Amazon is home to a creature so slow and strange it seems unreal. The three-toed sloth is an icon of stillness. It spends its life hanging upside down, and its grip is so strong, it is powered by tendons, not muscles, so it takes no effort to hold on. Its metabolism is the slowest of any non-hibernating mammal, so slow that it only needs to come down to the ground, a very dangerous journey, just once a week, to defecate. Its fur, which grows in the opposite direction of other mammals to shed rain, is a home to an entire ecosystem of algae, fungi, and insects, including a sloth moth that lives nowhere else on Earth. It is a walking, hanging slow-motion garden, a perfect, gentle creature of the canopy. The Amazon is home to a magnificent and powerful bird of prey, the harpy eagle. This is the largest and most powerful eagle in the world, a true apex predator of the canopy. It is a stunning, formidable-looking bird with a crest of grey feathers on its head that it can raise, a piercing gaze, and talons that are longer than the claws of a grizzly bear at over 5 inches long. These talons are powerful enough to crush the bones of its prey, which consists of monkeys and sloths. It is a still hunter perching for hours, almost invisible on a high branch, listening and watching. When it spots its prey, it dives with a silent, explosive speed, a grey and white ghost of the forest and a true monarch of the canopy. The forest floor, in the deep shade, is not a place for colourful flowers, but for a different kind of life. This is the kingdom of the fungi. Because of the constant humidity and the endless supply of fallen wood and leaves, the Amazon is home to a staggering and largely unknown diversity of mushrooms and fungi. Many of these are bioluminescent. At night, in the deep darkness of the understory, you can see a faint, ghostly, greenish-yellow light. This light comes from the fungi, like the Mycena species, as they grow and digest the decaying wood. It is a cold, silent light, a foxfire, and scientists believe it may be a way to attract insects at night, which then help to spread the fungus's spores, a living, breathing network of gentle light in the darkness. There is a small, social monkey called the common marmoset that has a special adaptation for feeding. Like the pygmy marmoset, it is a gum feeder. It has specialized, long, lower incisor teeth that are shaped like chisels. It uses these teeth to gouge small, neat holes in the bark of trees, particularly gum trees and vines. It will then patiently wait for the sap, or gum, to ooze out, and will return to its row of holes to lick up the sugary, high-energy sap. They will maintain and defend these gum gardens, which provide a reliable source of food when fruits are scarce. It is a tiny, resourceful farmer tapping the trees for their hidden sweetness. 79. In the Amazon, there is a large, pheasant-like bird called the curassow. It is a striking bird, often with glossy black feathers, a bright yellow or red bill, and a beautiful crest of curled feathers on its head, like a permanent, ornate hat. These are ground-dwelling birds, and they are critical to the health of the forest. They are frugivores, or fruit eaters, and they are one of the most important seed dispersers in the jungle. They will eat large fruits, and the seeds will pass, unharmed, through their digestive system. They will then deposit these seeds far from the parent tree, with a small package of fertilizer, helping to plant the next generation of the very trees they depend on. They are the feathered planters of the rainforest, walking and spreading life. There is a legend in the Amazon of a tiny, electric blue frog no bigger than a thumbnail, so poisonous that its toxin was used by indigenous tribes to tip their hunting blow darts. This is the Dendrobates tinctorius, the dying poison dart frog. Its skin is a brilliant, shining blue, patterned with a unique design of black spots and splotches, like a piece of living painted porcelain. This vibrant color is a warning. The frog is not poisonous in itself. It acquires its powerful toxins from the specific types of ants and mites that it eats in its native jungle. It isolates and concentrates these poisons, turning them into a potent defense. It is a tiny alchemist, a living jewel that carries a powerful secret in its skin. One of the strangest creatures of the river is the Jesus lizard. This is the green basilisk, a reptile that has a seemingly miraculous ability. When it is frightened by a predator, it will often flee towards the water. But instead of swimming, it will rise up on its hind legs and begin to run at high speed directly across the surface of the river. It does not float, it is running. It achieves this by its sheer speed and by its large, webbed hind feet, which have special scales that unfurl to create a larger surface area. These feet slap the water with such force that they create a tiny pocket of air, a moment of support, allowing it to take its next step before it sinks. It is a fleeting, wonderful spectacle of biology and physics. So, the jungle is filled with mimics, but one of the most clever is the owl butterfly. This is a large, beautiful butterfly, but its defense is not in its flight, but in its stillness. The underside of its wings, which it shows when it is at rest, is a dull brown color. But on each hind wing, there is a single, very large, and incredibly realistic ibsot. It is a perfect painted imitation of a large, staring yellow and black eye, the eye of an owl or another large predator. When a bird or a lizard approaches, the butterfly will flash these eye spots, startling the predator, making it think it is facing a much larger, more dangerous animal, and giving the butterfly a precious second to escape. Yet the Amazon is home to a massive, hairy spider known as the Goliath bird-eater. It is the largest spider in the world by mass, with a body as large as a man's fist and a leg span that can be a foot across, the size of a dinner plate. Despite its name, it does not, in fact, primarily eat birds. It is a nocturnal, ground-dwelling hunter, and its main diet consists of insects, worms, and small amphibians. It is a tarantula, and it has a unique defense. When threatened, it will not always bite, but will rub its hind legs against its abdomen, flicking a cloud of tiny, barbed hairs into the air. These hairs are intensely irritating, a powerful, stinging defense that wards off most curious animals. See, there is a small, unassuming fish in the Amazon called the splash tetra. It has a method of laying its eggs that is truly remarkable, a feat of aerial acrobatics. The male and female will find a plant leaf that is hanging just above the surface of the water. Then, in perfect unison, they will leap together out of the water and cling to the underside of the leaf with their fins just for a second. In that single out-of-water moment, the female lays her eggs and the male fertilizes them, sticking them to the leaf. They will repeat this jump again and again until a small cluster of eggs is laid. The male will then stay nearby, using his tail to splash water up onto the leaf, keeping the eggs moist until they hatch and the tiny fry fall into the river below. Teats, the anaconda is not the only large constrictor in the Amazon. The emerald tree boa is a snake of breathtaking beauty. It is a slender, graceful snake, but it can grow to be over 6 feet long. Its color is a deep, vivid, almost artificial-looking green, dotted with a pattern of white, zigzag lightning bolts along its back. It is a nocturnal, arboreal hunter, meaning it lives its entire life in the trees. It has a prehensile tail to anchor itself, and it will often hang from a branch in a distinctive coiled loop, with its head resting in the middle, waiting for a small mammal or bird to pass by. It is a living green jewel perfectly camouflaged among the leaves of the canopy. The Amazon has a unique seasonal white sand beach, but it is not on the ocean. It is a river beach called Praia da Lua, or Moon Beach, near the city of Manaus. During the dry season, when the Rio Negro's water level drops, it exposes a vast, beautiful, crescent-shaped beach of fine, pure white sand. The contrast between this brilliant white sand and the dark, tea-colored water of the river is a stunning, otherworldly sight. It becomes a beloved local spot, a temporary paradise, until the rains come again and the river rises, swallowing the beach completely, hiding it beneath its dark currents for another year. Sit. The forest is filled with the sound of what seems like a chiming bell. This is the call of the bellbird. It is a small white bird, but the male has one of the loudest, most extraordinary calls in the avian world. It has a distinctive, fleshy black wattle or piece of skin that dangles from its beak. When it calls, it inhales, filling itself with air, and then produces a call that sounds precisely like a loud, high-pitched, metallic bong, like a blacksmith's hammer or a fire alarm. This call is so loud it can be heard for over half a mile, a clear, ringing, and startlingly industrial sound in the middle of the deep. Green jungle. Past. The jungle's air is filled with a unique and often wonderful fragrance. This is the perfume of the orchid bee. These are not social bees like honeybees, but solitary, and they are a brilliant metallic, iridescent green or blue. The male bees are obsessive perfumers. They fly through the forest, visiting dozens of different species of orchids. But they are not there for nectar. They are there to collect the flower's specific, oily fragrances. Each orchid has a different scent, and the bee will carefully scrape these oils off and store them in special hollow pouches on its hind legs. It creates its own complex signature cologne, a perfume it will one day release to attract a female. It is a tiny, glittering perfumer flying on a quest for the perfect scent. Cheeks. The river is home to a fish that is a living disc, the freshwater stingray. These rays are closely related to their ocean cousins, but have adapted to live their entire lives in the Amazon's fresh water. They are flat, round, and bottom-dwelling, often burying themselves in the sand with only their eyes visible, a perfect, patient camouflage. They have a long whip-like tail that is armed with a sharp, venomous barb, which they use only for defense. They are a strange and beautiful sight, gliding over the riverbed with a gentle, rippling motion of their outer fins, like a pancake or a flat underwater bird, flying through the silt. Here, there is a monkey with a truly wonderful tail. The woolly monkey is a large, gentle primate covered in thick, soft, woolly fur, as its name suggests. But its most powerful tool is its tail. It is a true prehensile tail, and it is so strong and so sensitive that it acts as a fifth hand. The last third of the tail is completely bare of fur on the underside, with skin and ridges just like a fingerprint. It can use this tail to pick up a single peanut, or to support its entire body weight as it hangs from a branch to feed. It is a delicate, sensitive, and incredibly strong tool, a perfect adaptation for a life of balance and grace in the high canopy. The forest canopy is not just a place of leaves, but a place of flowers. Many of the giant Amazonian trees, like the kapok, produce a sudden, massive explosion of flowers. This is called mass flowering, and it is a synchronized event where, for a few short weeks, the entire canopy can be transformed into a sea of color, of white, pink, or yellow. This event produces a staggering amount of nectar, and it is a signal for a massive migration. Bats, bees, insects, and hummingbirds will travel for miles to feast on this temporary, all-you-can-eat buffet. It is a short-lived, spectacular, and vital party, a nectar pulp that feeds thousands of the forest's flying residents. There is a small, unassuming bird in the Amazon, the screaming piha, that has a call that is famous throughout the jungle. It is a plain, dull grey bird, very hard to see. But its voice is unforgettable. The male will perch on a branch and let out a sudden, three-note, whistling call that sounds like a human wolf whistle.
Wee wee wee! It is an incredibly loud, clear,
and perfectly human-sounding whistle that cuts through the jungle noise. It is a disorienting and somehow very charming sound, a small, plain bird with a voice that is full of surprising and melodious confidence. 93. In the Amazon, there is a large, armored mammal that looks like a living, walking antique. The giant armadillo is the largest of all armadillos, weighing over 70 pounds, and it is covered in a flexible shell of bony plates. It is a nocturnal, solitary creature, and it is one of the most powerful diggers in the animal kingdom. It has a set of enormous, powerful claws on its front feet, with the center claw being a massive, sickle-shaped tool. It uses these claws to rip open giant, concrete-hard termite mounds. It is a shy, secretive creature, an armored phantom of the night, and a powerful, specialized hunter of the forest's smallest, most well-defended insects. 2. The water of the Amazon is not just a home, it is a nursery. One of the most famous fish of the river, the discus fish, is known for its beautiful, round, flattened shape and its vibrant neon colors. But its most special behavior is how it feeds its young. The baby fish, or fry, do not forage for food. Instead, they feed on a special, nutritious mucus that the parent fish secrete from their skin. Both the mother and father will produce this discus milk, and the cloud of tiny babies will swarm around their parents, nibbling this high-protein slime directly from their bodies. It is an intimate, gentle, and truly remarkable form of parenting, a fish that feeds its babies from its own body. There is a small monkey in the Amazon that has a face of fire. The golden-faced saki monkey is a striking creature. The male is covered in thick, long, black fur, but his face is a bright, beautiful golden orange. It is a dichromatic species, meaning the females look completely different, with a more subdued brownish-grey fur. They are shy, quiet monkeys, often found in the flooded forests. They are also highly specialized feeders. They have strong teeth and powerful jaws, which allow them to be one of the few primates that can crack open the hard, unripe fruits and tough seeds of the forest, giving them a food source that almost no one else can access. The Amazon's ecosystem is so complete, it even has its own vultures of the river.
These are the piranhas.
While their reputation is for hunting, their most vital ecological role is that of a scavenger. The river is a place where many animals, large and small, will eventually die. The piranha, with its sharp teeth and its willingness to eat carrion, is the river's essential cleanup crew. They will rapidly and efficiently skeletonize a carcass, breaking it down and returning its nutrients to the water. This is a critical service, keeping the river clean and preventing the spread of disease. They are not just predators, but the river's perfect and essential recyclers. The air of the rainforest is filled with a sound that is not a bird or a monkey, but a frog. The paradoxical frog, or Pseudis paradoxa, has a truly strange life. As a tadpole, it is a giant, one of the largest tadpoles in the world, growing to be 10 inches long, as large as a dinner plate. But then a paradox occurs. As it goes through metamorphosis, it does not grow, it shrinks. The massive tadpole body is absorbed, and the adult frog that emerges is a tiny, unassuming creature, only 2 or 3 inches long.
It is a creature that is a giant in its youth and a dwarf in its adulthood. A wonderful
biological riddle. 8. There is a tiny, delicate primate in the forest, the pygmy anteater or silky anteater. It is the smallest of all anteaters, no bigger than a squirrel, and it lives its entire life in the trees. It is nocturnal and has a coat of incredibly soft, fine golden brown fur that shimmers in the light. It has 2 large, sharp claws on its front feet and a long, prehensile tail. It moves with a slow, deliberate grace, like a tiny sloth through the high branches, searching for ants and termites. It is a fragile, quiet, and almost mythical creature, a golden whisper of a life hidden in the highest parts of the canopy. The Amazon is not just one color. It is a river of many colors. The whitewater rivers, like the main channel, are a pale, milky coffee brown, rich with sediment from the Andes. The blackwater rivers, like the Rio Negro, are a dark, clear tea color,
stained by tannins from the forest floor.
And the clear water rivers, like the Tapajos, are a beautiful, transparent emerald green, flowing from ancient, rocky highlands. Where these rivers meet, they create a confluence, a visual line of stunning contrast. Each river type has its own chemistry, its own fish, its own plants. The Amazon basin is not a single entity, but a vast living mosaic, a quilt of different waters, all woven together into one grand flowing masterpiece. Sit. In the Amazon, there is a giant, harmless insect that is a master of camouflage. The giant walking stick is an insect that has evolved to look, in every detail, like a part of a tree. It can be over a foot long, with a body that is rough, brown, and textured, just like a twig or a small branch. It will spend its days completely motionless, hanging from a branch, often swaying slightly, just as a real twig would in a gentle breeze. It is a slow-moving herbivore, and its defense is to simply and perfectly disappear. It is a creature that has mastered the art of non-being, a living, breathing, 6-legged piece of the forest. In the Amazon, there is a small bird called the potter bird, or the pale-legged hornero. It is not a brightly colored bird, but a modest, reddish-brown. Its true wonder is not in its feathers, but in the home it builds. The male and female work together as a team, collecting mud and clay from the riverbank and mixing it with bits of straw and fiber. They use this pellet by pellet to construct a large, solid, dome-shaped nest on a tree branch, which looks exactly like an old-fashioned clay baking oven. It can weigh up to 12 pounds, a fortress of dried mud. The nest has a side entrance that leads to an inner, protected chamber, keeping their eggs and chicks safe from predators. It is a tiny avian architect, a master of building with the very earth of the river. 2. There is a family of fish in the Amazon known as the headstanders. As their name suggests, they spend much of their time in a curious, almost vertical, head-down position. They are often found in large groups, all angled downwards, as they nibble on algae and small organisms from the river bottom or from submerged logs. This unusual head-down posture is their natural resting and feeding position. A school of these fish, all hovering in the water at the same angle, looks like a group of tiny, silver aquatic acrobats, a strange and beautiful, synchronized ballet in the gentle current. The rainforest canopy is home to a tiny monkey with a magnificent feline appearance, the golden lion tamarin. This small primate is covered in a spectacular, long, silky, golden-orange fur, and it has a beautiful mane-like ruff of fur around its face, just like a miniature lion. They are incredibly active, agile creatures, living in small family groups and communicating with a complex series of high-pitched whistles and chirps. They are a sign of the forest's health, a tiny, fiery-colored spirit that leaps, almost like a flicker of flame, from branch to branch in the high canopy. 4. One of the most important
and least seen creatures of the Amazon is the termite.
While we often think of them as pests, in the rainforest they are essential engineers. There are hundreds of different species. Some build vast, hard, cathedral-like mounds on the forest floor, which can be many feet tall and are ventilated by a complex system of internal tunnels. Other termites live inside the dead wood itself. They are one of the only creatures in the world that can digest cellulose, the tough fiber of wood. In doing so, they are the primary decomposers, the agents that break down fallen trees and return those locked-up nutrients to the soil so the living forest can feed. They are the great hidden recyclers. 5. There is a strange, beautiful fish in the river called the arowana. It is a large, silvery fish with huge metallic scales, and it is a surface hunter. It has a large, upward-pointing mouth, and it glides just below the surface, watching the world above. It is a powerful leper, and it is famous for its ability to jump clear out of the water, sometimes 6 feet or more, to snatch large insects, small birds, and even bats directly from overhanging branches. Because of this, it is sometimes called the water monkey. It is a fish that has learned to hunt, not in the water but in the air, a silver, living missile launched from the river. 6. The Amazon is home to a creature that is a master of sound, the musician wren. This small brown bird is not much to look at, but it has one of the most beautiful and complex songs in the world. Its song is not a simple chirp, but a long, melodic, flute-like tune, a series of clear, haunting notes that sound like a human-composed melody. Each wren has its own unique song, and a male will often sing for minutes at a time, its voice echoing clear and pure through the dense understory. It is a hidden feathered composer, a tiny living flute in the vast green orchestra. 7. There is a frog in the Amazon that is a master of illusion. The leaf mimic frog is a ground dweller that has, through evolution, come to look exactly like a single, dead brown leaf. It is not just the color, but the entire shape.
Its body is flat, its head is pointed like the tip of a leaf, and it even has raised ridges on its back that look exactly like the veins of a leaf.
When a predator approaches, it simply stays perfectly still. It is a living, breathing piece of camouflage, a frog that has hidden itself by becoming the most common and overlooked object on the forest floor, a tiny, silent, and perfect imposter. 108. In the Amazon, there is a giant beetle, the Titan beetle. It is one of the largest insects in the world, a true giant of the beetle family that can be over 6 inches long.
Its body is a dark, brownish black, and it has enormous, powerful mandibles or jaws that are strong enough to snap a pencil in half.
The adult beetles, strangely, do not eat at all. They spend their short, adult lives flying around searching for a mate. All their energy comes from the food they ate as a larva, a stage that can last for several years, where they live hidden, burrowed deep inside decaying wood, slowly growing to their immense, final size. 9. The rainforest has a unique aerial highway system used by the spider monkeys. These monkeys are large, incredibly agile, and have a lanky, long-limbed body. Their most remarkable feature is their prehensile tail, which is so strong and flexible it is used as a 5th limb. They are masters of brachiation, or swinging by their arms, but they will also use their tail to grasp a branch, freeing both hands to gather fruit. They move with an incredible, fluid, graceful speed, swinging and leaping through the canopy, using their tail as a hook, a balance and an anchor, a perfect, dark acrobat of the high branches. 10. There is a small, brilliantly colored bird called the jacamar that is the flycatcher of the Amazon. It is a beautiful, iridescent bird with a long, sharp, needle-like beak and feathers that shimmer in shades of green, blue, and copper like a giant, flying jewel. It is a sit-and-wait hunter. It will perch on an exposed branch, perfectly still, watching the air. When a large, iridescent butterfly or a dragonfly flies past, it will launch into the air, snatch the insect with a snap of its long beak, and then return to its perch, where it will beat the insect against the branch before eating it. It is a patient, glittering hunter of the air's other jewels. The Amazon is home to a truly strange and tiny fish, the pencilfish. They are long, thin, and, as their name suggests, pencil-shaped. They are often found in large, hovering schools in the slow-moving blackwater streams. But their strangest feature is that some species swim at a perfect 45-degree head-up angle. They do not swim horizontally, but rather they hover, angled towards the surface. They are delicate surface feeders, picking tiny, almost invisible, insects and larvae from the top layer of the water. A school of these tiny, angled fish is a curious, almost geometric sight, a living diagonal pattern in the dark, still water. 2. In the Amazon, there is a large black bird called the ani. It is a member of the cuckoo family with a long tail and a very distinctive, large, curved parrot-like bill. But its most special quality is its social life. They are communal nesters. Instead of each pair building its own nest, a group of anis, sometimes up to 10 or more, will all work together to build one single, large, basket-like nest. Then all the females in the group will lay their eggs in this one shared nest. The entire group, both males and females, will then take turns incubating the eggs and, later, feeding and defending the chicks. It is a perfect, feathered commune, a family that has learned that cooperation is the key to survival. Teat. There is a tiny, delicate butterfly called the glass-winged butterfly. Its wings, which are bordered in a dark, opaque brown, are otherwise almost completely transparent. They are not colored, they are not scaled. They are as clear as a pane of glass. You can see right through them. This is not a lack of color, but the ultimate and most beautiful form of camouflage. When the butterfly is in flight, it is just a blur. When it lands on a leaf or a flower, it simply disappears, its wings becoming a window to the green world behind it. It is a tiny, fragile, and almost invisible ghost, a living piece of transparent air. 40. The Amazon is home to a cat that is perfectly and secretly aquatic. The fishing cat is a small, wild cat about twice the size of a house cat, with a spotted, leopard-like coat. Unlike almost all other cats, it is a specialist swimmer and has no fear of the water. Its paws are even partially webbed, an adaptation for moving through the water. It hunts not in the trees, but along the banks of the river. It will sit patiently at the water's edge, and when it sees a fish, it will dive in and snatch it, or it will gently tap the surface of the water with its paw, mimicking a struggling insect to lure the fish closer. It is a cat that has broken all the rules and made the river its own personal hunting ground. Teat 15. There is a giant armored catfish in the Amazon, the Plecostomus. That is a living piece of architecture. It is covered in thick, bony plates, and it has a unique, sucker-shaped mouth. It uses this mouth to attach itself to rocks, logs, and the river bottom, anchoring itself, even in a fast-moving current.
It is a tireless algae eater.
It spends its days and nights slowly moving over surfaces, rasping off the layers of algae and microorganisms with its specialized teeth. In doing so, it is the river's housekeeper, a slow-moving, armored, and essential cleaner, keeping the rocks and logs of the riverbed clean. 6. The jungle is home to a small mammal that looks like a tiny, orange-furred bear, but it is not. It is the kinkajou. It is a nocturnal creature related to the raccoon, and it lives its life in the high canopy. It has a long, woolly, golden-brown fur and large, dark, gentle eyes. Its most useful tool is its long, prehensile tail, which it uses as a fifth arm to grip branches. It is a frugivore, and it has a very long, slender, brush-tipped tongue. It uses this tongue not just for fruit, but to reach deep inside flowers to lap up the nectar, just like a hummingbird. It is a gentle, sweet-toothed, nocturnal climber, a golden honey bear of the canopy. 17. There is a small, drab-colored bird in the Amazon called the ant thrush. It lives a quiet life on the dark forest floor, walking along, flicking leaves. But it has an astonishing vocal ability. It is a mimic. It has the ability to perfectly and uncannily imitate the calls of other birds and even the sounds of insects. But its most amazing feat is that it can mimic the sound of a predator, like the sharp, warning call of a sentinel bird. It is believed to use this, not for defense, but for hunting. It will see a rival bird or a small lizard and let out the warning call. The other animal, thinking a hawk is near, will freeze, and in that moment, the ant thrush will pounce. It is a tiny, clever and deceitful hunter. The Amazon is home to a tiny frog that is a master of disguise and a dedicated parent. The mimic poison frog is a small frog that has evolved to look in every detail of its black and yellow striped pattern, exactly like another, much more poisonous, species of frog that lives in the same area. This Batesian mimicry protects it from predators.
But its true marvel is its parenting.
After the female lays her eggs, the male will guard them. When they hatch, he will allow the tadpoles to wiggle onto his back. He will then, in a remarkable journey, carry his tadpoles one by one high up into the trees and deposit each one in its own tiny private pool of water in the center of a bromeliad plant, giving each one a safe, protected nursery. 19. There is a fish in the Amazon that is a giant, gentle filter feeder. The silver arowana, unlike its leaping cousin, is a peaceful giant. It can grow to be over 3 feet long, and it glides near the surface. It has a large, upward-pointing mouth, but it is not for hunting. It is a filter feeder, straining the water for tiny plankton, microorganisms, and small insects. It has a long, beautiful, silvery body, and its fins and tail are often tinged with a delicate red or blue. It is a slow, graceful, and serene presence in the water, a living silver ribbon, constantly sifting the river for its smallest, most invisible forms of life. 20. The Amazon's night sky is not just lit by the moon, but by the railroad worm. This is not a worm at all, but the larva or glowworm of a specific beetle. It is a creature of two lights. Along the sides of its long, segmented body, it has a series of 11 pairs of small, glowing greenish-yellow lights, like the windows of a train car at night, which gives it its name. But on its head, it has a single, much larger and more powerful light that glows a deep, vibrant reddish-orange. It uses this red headlight to search for its prey, which is primarily millipedes. It is a tiny, walking and silent light show, a complex living lantern of the forest floor. 2. There is a small, quiet snake in the Amazon called the blunt-headed tree snake. It is an incredibly slender, lightweight snake, perfectly adapted for a life spent on the thinnest, most delicate twigs and branches of the forest. It has a large, bulbous head and huge, dark, bulging eyes which give it excellent night vision. It is a nocturnal hunter, and it has a very specialized diet. It feeds almost exclusively on slugs and snails. It has a specially modified jaw that it can insert into a snail shell with sharp, backward-pointing teeth that it uses to slowly and patiently pull the snail from its protective home. It is a delicate, specialized, and silent hunter of the canopy's slowest prey. 124. In the Amazon, there is a giant, prehistoric-looking bird called the horned screamer. It is a large grey bird, about the size of a turkey, and it is related to ducks, but it looks nothing like one. It has 2 sharp, bony spurs on the front of its wings which it uses for fighting. But its most bizarre feature is a long, thin, cartilaginous horn, which can be 6 inches long, that grows from the top of its head. This horn is not a weapon, and is loosely attached, often breaking off and regrowing. Its true purpose is a mystery. The bird gets its name from its call, an incredibly loud two-note, trumpeting scream that is a powerful and deeply wild sound of the Amazonian swamps and floodplains. 5. The Amazon River is home to a fish that is a living armored box. The boxfish, or spotted-head karasin, is a small, peaceful fish, but its body is covered in a series of thick, bony, plate-like scales that are fused together,
forming a rigid, inflexible box-like armor. Only its head and tail can move.
This exoskeleton makes it almost impossible for a piranha or any other predator to eat. It is a tiny, living swimming tank, a perfect, small, and diamond-shaped example of defense, nibbling on plants and algae, perfectly safe inside its own built-in suit of armor. 26. The forest canopy is home to a master of deception, the vine snake. This is an impossibly thin, slender snake with a body that is often no thicker than a pencil, but it can be 6 feet long. Its body is a perfect, bright leaf green, and its head is long, pointed, and spear-shaped. It will spend its days perfectly still, draped or hanging from a branch, looking exactly like a living green vine or a liana. It is a patient hunter waiting for a lizard or a frog to come close, and it has a unique binocular vision with horizontal, keyhole-shaped pupils that allow it to have an incredible depth perception, to strike with pinpoint and venomous accuracy. 27. There is a family of small fish in the Amazon called hatchet fish. They are named for their truly strange and unique body shape. They are very thin or laterally compressed, but their belly, or keel, is incredibly deep and rounded while their back is flat. This gives them the precise and sharp silhouette of a small hatchet or an axe head. They are surface dwellers, and this body shape is all about power. They have a massive set of pectoral muscles which are attached to their hatchet keel. They use these muscles to beat their pectoral fins at an incredible speed, allowing them to leap from the water and fly or glide for several feet over the surface to escape predators. They are tiny, living, silver hatchets launched into the air. 20. So the Amazon is home to a primate that is a true and sad mystery. The wakari monkey is one of the most striking animals in the jungle. It has a long, shaggy coat of fur, which can be white or reddish-brown. But its face is a shocking, bare, bright crimson red, as if it has a terrible sunburn. This bright red face is not a sign of sickness, but of health. It is a sign that the monkey is healthy and free of malaria. The paler the face, the less desirable it is as a mate. It is a strange and beautiful evolutionary signal, a monkey that wears its health and its vulnerability on its bright, uncovered, and perfectly scarlet face. 29. There is a giant, gentle fruit-eating fish in the Amazon called the tambaqui. It is a large, round, powerful fish, a relative of the piranha, and it can weigh up to 60 pounds. But it has no sharp teeth. Instead, it has large, flat, molar-like teeth that are uncannily human-looking. These teeth are not for tearing flesh, but for crushing. It is a frugivore, and it plays a vital role in the flooded forest. During the high water season, it will swim among the flooded trees, waiting for fruits and seeds, especially from the rubber tree, to fall into the water. It will then crush these hard-shelled nuts with its powerful molars, swallowing them whole. It is a fish that acts as a seed disperser, a swimming, fruit-eating gardener of the flooded jungle. The forest floor is home to a hunter that uses a living trap. The trap-jaw ant has a pair of the fastest-moving predatory appendages in the animal kingdom. Its long, straight mandibles are held open, put in place by a special latch at a perfect 180-degree angle. They are like a loaded living bear trap. When a tiny, unsuspecting insect brushes against one of the ant's trigger hairs, the latch is released. The jaws snap shut with an explosive and audible click, accelerating at a speed of over 140 miles per hour. This incredible and violent strike is over in a fraction of a millisecond. One of the fastest movements in all of nature, a tiny, perfect, and lightning-fast killing machine. Tuan. In the Amazon, there is a giant, soaring bird that is a master of the open sky above the canopy, the king vulture. It is a large and surprisingly beautiful vulture. While its body is mostly a clean, bright white, and its flight feathers are black, its head is a stunning and bizarre work of art. Its bare, wrinkled skin is a mosaic of different bright neon colors, from orange and yellow to red and purple. It has a bright orange fleshy caruncle on its beak and piercing white-rimmed eyes. It is a scavenger, and it is often the first to arrive at a large carcass, using its strong beak to tear open the hide, which allows the smaller vultures to feed. It is a silent, soaring, and vividly colored janitor of the sky. Tidomisa too. There is a tiny mammal in the Amazon that is a wonder of adaptation. The aquatic or water opossum, the yapok, is the only marsupial in the world where both the male and the female have a pouch. The female's pouch is, like a kangaroo's, for carrying her young, but it is waterproof. It has a strong, muscular ring that can seal the pouch completely, allowing her to dive and swim underwater with her tiny, developing, air-breathing babies held safely and dryly inside. The male owl also has a pouch, though less complete, which he uses to tuck his own sensitive external organs into, protecting them from the cold water and from spiny underwater vegetation as he swims. It is a masterpiece of evolution, a marsupial that has conquered the river. The Amazon is home to a creature that is a living defensive fortress. The prehensile-tailed porcupine is a nocturnal tree-dwelling rodent. Its body is covered in a dense coat of long, incredibly sharp quills. These quills are not hollow like a bird's feather, but are filled with a spongy internal matrix, making them very strong. They are only loosely attached to the porcupine and are barbed, so if a predator, like an ocelot, tries to bite it, the quills will embed themselves deeply in the predator's skin. The porcupine will often shake its body, making the loose quills rattle, a dry, whispering,
and unmistakable warning sound, a signal to all who can hear, do not touch, for there is a small
brown bird in the Amazon, the flute bird, or common potu, that is a master of daytime camouflage. It is a nocturnal bird, a hunter of nighttime insects with a huge, comically wide mouth. But during the day it must rest, and it does so in plain sight. It will land on the very top of a broken, dead tree stump. It will then point its beak straight up to the sky and sit perfectly and utterly motionless. Its feathers, in shades of mottled grey and brown, are a perfect match for the dead wood. It does not look like a bird. It looks exactly like a part of the broken branch, a living, feathered and perfectly disguised piece of wood, waiting for the safety of the night. 5. The Amazon River is home to a fish that is a living, optical illusion. The upside-down catfish, Synodontis nigriventris, is a small, peaceful catfish that has, as its name suggests, a habit of swimming and resting perfectly upside down. Its belly is darker than its back. This is a form of counter-shading, but in reverse. Normally, a fish's belly is light and its back is dark to blend in. This fish has flipped that because it has flipped its life. It swims upside down, and in doing so it can more easily feed on the algae and microorganisms that grow on the underside of submerged leaves and logs. It is a creature that has found its own, unique, and inverted place in the world. 6. The rainforest floor is home to a tiny, delicate deer, the red brocket deer. It is a very small, shy and solitary deer, often no taller than a large dog. It has a simple, reddish-brown coat and the males have only small, simple, spike-like antlers. It is a creature of the deep, dark understory, and it moves with a silent, ghost-like grace through the dense vegetation. It is a browser, feeding on leaves, buds, and fallen fruits. When it is startled, it does not run, but will freeze and then slip almost invisibly into the thickest part of the jungle. It is a tiny, warm-blooded and gentle spirit of the forest floor. 137, there is a frog in the Amazon that seems to be made of jewels. The red-eyed tree frog is one of the most iconic images of the rainforest. It is a nocturnal frog, and during the day it sleeps, camouflaged, on the underside of a leaf. It is a perfect leaf green, but when it is startled it will flash its defenses. Its eyes, which were closed, will open, revealing huge, bulging, vibrant, blood-red orbs. It will open its legs, revealing its hidden sides, which are a deep, electric blue, and its feet, which are a bright, neon orange. This sudden, shocking, and dazzling explosion of color is designed to startle a predator, to make it pause just for a second, giving the frog time to leap away to safety. Teat. The Amazon is home to a fish that is a living, breathing battery. The electric eel is not a true eel, but a type of knife fish. It is a large, long, cylindrical fish that can grow over 8 feet long. It lives in murky, slow-moving water and has very poor eyesight. It navigates and hunts using electricity. It has 3 pairs of special internal organs that are made of modified muscle cells called electrocytes, which act like tiny, stacked batteries. It can emit a low-level, radar-like pulse to see its world, and when it hunts, it can discharge a massive,
Stunning 600-volt shock, a jolt of pure, living lightning.
hidden in the muddy water. The Amazon's night air is filled with a strange and very loud bowing sound,
As if someone is plucking a giant rubber band.
This is the call of the white-bearded manakin. It is a tiny bird, no bigger than a golf ball. The male is a striking jet black, with a fluffy white beard of feathers on its throat. The males gather in groups in a lek, or a courtship arena, to display for the females. Their display is a marvel of speed. They will perform a series of impossibly fast skating and sliding dances on a branch, and they will make a loud snap sound by hitting their wings together. And then they will produce that bowing, a sound so loud and so resonant it is hard to believe it comes from such a tiny,
Feathered creature. In the Amazon,
there is a giant flying squirrel, but it is not a squirrel. It is the colugo, or flying lemur. It is a shy, nocturnal mammal, and it is the most adapted of all mammals for gliding. It has a patagium, a membrane of skin that stretches from its neck to its fingers, to its toes, and all the way to the tip of its tail. It is a living, breathing, fur-covered parachute. It cannot fly, but it can glide. By climbing to the top of a tree and launching itself, it can glide with perfect control for over 300 feet, almost the length of a football field, to another tree, a silent grey and graceful shadow, soaring through the night-time canopy. C1. There is a fish in the Amazon that is a dedicated and very gentle father. The blue discus fish is a beautiful, round, brightly coloured cichlid. After the female lays her eggs on a leaf, the male will guard them fiercely. He will gently fan the eggs with his pectoral fins day and night for 3 days. This fanning action is critical. It creates a constant, gentle current of fresh, oxygen-rich water over the eggs, preventing any fungus or bacteria from growing on them, and ensuring that they can breathe. He will not eat, and he will not rest, until his tiny, precious and fragile children have hatched. It is an act of pure, silent, and devoted fatherhood. 2. The Amazon is home to a creature that is a living, miniature dragon. The helmeted iguana is a large, striking lizard. It is a bright leaf green, and it has a row of spines down its back and a distinctive helmet-like casque or bony ridge on its head. It is a tree dweller and a gentle herbivore feeding on leaves, flowers, and fruits.
It is a master of stillness and will spend hours basking in a patch of sunlight.
High in the canopy, looking like a piece of ancient reptilian and greenstone art, a silent, watchful, and harmless dragon of the trees. There is a small, drab brown bird in the Amazon called the wing-banded antbird. It has a truly unique partnership.
It does not eat ants.
It eats the fruit of a specific plant, Psychotria poepigiana. This plant has small blue fruits. The bird will eat the fruit, and then it will plant the seed. It will find a clear cut, a small open gap in the forest, often a place where a tree has fallen. It will then very deliberately regurgitate the seed and wipe it onto the stem of a small sapling.
This is the only place the seed can germinate.
The bird is a specialist disperser, a tiny, feathered, and intentional gardener, planting its own future food source in the only and perfect spot. Fatir. The Amazon is home to a fish that is a living, electrical ghost. The glass knifefish is a nocturnal fish with a long, undulating fin, but its body is almost completely and beautifully transparent. You can see its entire delicate internal skeletal structure. But its most ghostly quality is its sight. It has no eyes. It is completely and naturally blind. It lives in the deep, dark and murky channels. It sees its world and hunts using a weak electrical field which it generates from its tail. It is a living, breathing X-ray, a fish made of glass and electricity, a true and silent
phantom of the deep river. In the Amazon,
there is a large black ground-dwelling bird called the trumpeter. It is named for its call, a deep, booming, trumpeting sound. But its most wonderful and strange behavior is its desire for friendship. Trumpeters are easily tamed, and in their native villages they will adopt a human family. But their true and bizarre love is for chickens. A wild trumpeter will often, for no known reason, attach itself to a flock of domesticated chickens. It will become their fierce and loyal protector. It will guard the chickens, herd them, and will violently attack any snake or hawk or even a dog that tries to harm its adopted, feathered, and clucking family. 6. The Amazon is home to a creature that seems to be from another time. The Matamata turtle is a truly bizarre-looking reptile. It is a large, aquatic turtle, but it does not look like one. Its shell is a rough, bumpy pyramid shape like a piece of rotting wood. Its head and neck are long, flat, and covered in strange, fleshy warts and fringes of skin.
It does not hunt. It is a lion-weight predator, a masterpiece of camouflage.
It will lie motionless on the muddy, leaf-littered bottom of a stream. It looks exactly like a pile of dead, decaying leaves. When a small fish swims by, it will open its mouth with incredible speed, creating a low-pressure vacuum, and it will inhale and swallow the fish and a huge gulp of water, all in an instant. 7. There is a tiny bird in the Amazon, the pygmy kingfisher, that is a living flying bullet. It is the smallest of all kingfishers, no bigger than a sparrow. It is a flash of brilliant turquoise blue on its back and a bright, rusty orange on its belly. It has a long, sharp, dagger-like beak. It hunts by perching on a small twig just above the water of a tiny, quiet stream. It will sit bobbing its head, calculating the refraction of the water. Then it will dive like a tiny blue and orange missile straight into the water to spear a tiny minnow or a freshwater shrimp with a speed and an accuracy that is almost unbelievable. Tikti, the Amazon is home to a tiny monkey with a huge and very gentle set of eyes. The night monkey, or owl monkey, is the only truly nocturnal monkey in the world. It is a small, soft-furred monkey, and it has enormous brown owl-like eyes which allow it to gather the faintest glimmer of moonlight and see perfectly in the dark. They live in small nuclear family groups, a mother, a father, and their young. And they are monogamous, forming a pair bond that lasts for life. The father is the primary caregiver, and he will carry the baby on his back, bringing it to the mother only to nurse. They are the gentle, quiet, and devoted family men of the nighttime canopy. 150. The Amazon is home to a giant aerial anteater. The giant anteater is a large and truly bizarre mammal. It can be 6 feet long with a long, bushy, plume-like tail and a long, thin, tubular snout that looks like a giant tapering straw.
It has no teeth at all.
It has huge, powerful front claws which it uses to tear open the hard, concrete-like termite mounds. It will then insert its long, thin, 2-foot-long, sticky, worm-like tongue which it can flick in and out 150 times a minute, lapping up thousands of termites. It is a silent, nomadic, and wonderfully, perfectly specialized creature, a gentle, walking and living vacuum cleaner of the forest floor. The Amazon is home to a creature that is a living defensive fortress. The prehensile-tailed porcupine is a nocturnal, tree-dwelling rodent. Its body is covered in a dense coat of long, sharp, incredibly sharp quills. These quills are not hollow like a bird's feather, but are filled with a spongy internal matrix, making them very strong. They are only loosely attached to the porcupine and are barbed, so if a predator, like an ocelot, tries to bite it, the quills will embed themselves deeply in the predator's skin. The porcupine will often shake its body, making the loose quills rattle, a dry, whispering
and unmistakable warning sound, a signal to all who can hear, "Do not touch." 52. There is a small
brown bird in the Amazon, the flute bird, or common potu, that is a master of daytime camouflage. It is a nocturnal bird, a hunter of nighttime insects with a huge, comically wide mouth. But during the day it must rest, and it does so in plain sight. It will land on the very top of a broken, dead tree stump. It will then point its beak straight up to the sky and sit perfectly and utterly motionless. Its feathers, in shades of mottled grey and brown, are a perfect match for the dead wood. It does not look like a bird. It looks exactly like a part of the broken branch, a living, feathered and perfectly disguised piece of wood, waiting for the safety of the night. Tree. The Amazon River is home to a fish that is a living optical illusion. The upside-down catfish, Synodontis nigriventris, is a small, peaceful catfish that has, as its name suggests, a habit of swimming and resting perfectly upside down. Its belly is darker than its back. This is a form of countershading, but in reverse. Normally, a fish's belly is light and its back is dark to blend in. This fish has flipped that because it has flipped its life. It swims upside down, and in doing so, it can more easily feed on the algae and microorganisms that grow on the underside of submerged leaves and logs. It is a creature that has found its own, unique, and inverted place in the world. Fitiursat. The rainforest floor is home to a tiny, delicate deer, the red brocket deer. It is a very small, shy and solitary deer, often no taller than a large dog. It has a simple, reddish-brown coat, and the males have only small, simple, spike-like antlers. It is a creature of the deep, dark understory, and it moves with a silent, ghost-like grace through the dense vegetation. It is a browser feeding on leaves, buds, and fallen fruits. When it is startled, it does not run, but will freeze, and then slip almost invisibly into the thickest part of the jungle. It is a tiny, warm-blooded and gentle spirit of the forest floor. 5. There is a frog in the Amazon that seems to be made of jewels. The red-eyed tree frog is one of the most iconic images of the rainforest. It is a nocturnal frog, and during the day it sleeps camouflaged on the underside of a leaf. It is a perfect leaf green, but when it is startled, it will flash its defenses. Its eyes, which were closed, will open, revealing huge, bulging, vibrant blood-red orbs. It will open its legs, revealing its hidden sides, which are a deep electric blue, and its feet, which are a bright neon orange. This sudden, shocking, and dazzling explosion of color is designed to startle a predator, to make it pause just for a second, giving the frog time to leap away to safety. 6. The Amazon is home to a fish that is a living, breathing battery. The electric eel is not a true eel, but a type of knife fish. It is a large, long cylindrical fish that can grow over 8 feet long. It lives in murky, slow-moving water and has very poor eyesight. It navigates and hunts using electricity. It has 3 pairs of special internal organs that are made of modified muscle cells called electrocytes, which act like tiny, stacked batteries. It can emit a low-level radar-like pulse to see its world. And when it hunts, it can discharge a massive, stunning 600-volt shock, a jolt of pure living lightning hidden in the muddy water. 57. The Amazon's night air is filled with a strange and very loud bowing sound, as if someone is plucking a giant rubber band. This is the call of the white-bearded manakin. It is a tiny bird, no bigger than a golf ball. The male is a striking jet black, with a fluffy white beard of feathers on its throat. The males gather in groups in a lek, or a courtship arena, to display for the females. Their display is a marvel of speed. They will perform a series of impossibly fast skating and sliding dances on a branch, and they will make a loud snap sound by hitting their wings together. And then they will produce that bowing, a sound so loud
and so resonant it is hard to believe it comes from such a tiny,
feathered creature. 58. In the Amazon, there is a giant flying squirrel, but it is not a squirrel.
It is the colugo, or flying lemur.
It is a shy nocturnal mammal, and it is the most adapted of all mammals for gliding. It has a patagium, a membrane of skin that stretches from its neck to its fingers, to its toes, and all the way to the tip of its tail. It is a living, breathing, fur-covered parachute. It cannot fly, but it can glide. By climbing to the top of a tree and launching itself, it can glide with perfect control for over 300 feet, almost the length of a football field, to another tree, a silent grey and graceful shadow, soaring through the nighttime canopy. 15. There is a fish in the Amazon that is a dedicated and very gentle father. The blue discus fish is a beautiful, round, brightly coloured cichlid. After the female lays her eggs on a leaf, the male will guard them fiercely. He will gently fan the eggs with his pectoral fins, day and night, for 3 days. This fanning action is critical. It is a constant, gentle current of fresh, oxygen-rich water over the eggs, preventing any fungus or bacteria from growing on them, and ensuring that they can breathe. He will not eat, and he will not rest, until his tiny, precious and fragile children have hatched. It is an act of pure, silent, and devoted fatherhood. 60. The Amazon is home to a creature that is a living, miniature dragon. The helmeted iguana is a large, striking lizard. It is a bright leaf green, and it has a row of spines down its back and a distinctive helmet-like casque, or bony ridge, on its head. It is a tree dweller and a gentle herbivore feeding on leaves, flowers, and fruits. It is a master of stillness and will spend hours basking in a patch of sunlight, high in the canopy, looking like a piece of ancient, reptilian and green stone art, a silent, watchful, and harmless dragon of the trees. Then there is a small, drab brown bird in the Amazon called the wing-banded antbird. It has a truly unique partnership. It does not eat ants.
It eats the fruit of a specific plant, Psychotria poepigiana. This plant has small blue fruits. The bird will eat the fruit and then it will plant the seed. It will find a clear cut, a small open gap in the forest, often a place where a tree has fallen. It will then very deliberately regurgitate the seed and wipe it onto the stem of a small sapling. This is the only place the seed can germinate. The bird is a specialist disperser, a tiny feathered and intentional gardener, planting its own future food source in the only and perfect spot. 1162. The Amazon is home to a fish that is a living electrical
ghost.
The glass knife fish is a nocturnal fish with a long undulating fin.
But its body is almost completely and beautifully transparent. You can see its entire delicate internal skeletal structure. But its most ghostly quality is its sight. It has no eyes. It is completely and naturally blind. It lives in the deep, dark and murky channels. It sees its world and hunts using a weak electrical field, which it generates from its tail. It is a living, breathing X-ray, a fish made of glass and electricity, a true and silent phantom of the deep river. In the Amazon, there is a large black ground-dwelling bird called the trumpeter. It is named for its call, a deep, booming, trumpeting sound. But its most wonderful and strange behavior is its desire for friendship. Trumpeters are easily tamed, and in their native villages they will adopt a human family. But their true and bizarre love is for chickens. A wild trumpeter will often, for no known reason, attach itself to a flock of domesticated chickens. It will become their fierce and loyal protector. It will guard the chickens, herd them, and will violently attack any snake or hawk or even a dog that tries to harm its adopted, feathered, and clucking family. 164. The Amazon is home to a creature that seems to be from another time. The Matamata turtle is a truly bizarre-looking reptile. It is a large, aquatic turtle, but it does not look like one. Its shell is a rough, bumpy pyramid shape, like a piece of rotting wood. Its head and neck are long, flat, and covered in strange, fleshy warts and fringes of skin. It does not hunt. It is a lie-and-wait predator, a masterpiece of camouflage. It will lie motionless on the muddy, leaf-littered bottom of a stream. It looks exactly like a pile of dead, decaying leaves. When a small fish swims by, it will open its mouth with incredible speed, creating a low-pressure vacuum, and it will inhale and swallow the fish, and a huge gulp of water, all in an instant. 165. There is a tiny bird in the Amazon, the pygmy kingfisher, that is a living flying bullet. It is the smallest of all kingfishers, no bigger than a sparrow. It is a flash of brilliant turquoise blue on its back and a bright rusty orange on its belly. It has a long, sharp, dagger-like beak. It hunts by perching on a small twig just above the water of a tiny, quiet stream. It will sit, bobbing its head, calculating the refraction of the water. Then it will dive like a tiny blue and orange missile straight into the water to spear a tiny minnow or a freshwater shrimp with a speed and an accuracy that is almost unbelievable. 166. The Amazon is home to a tiny monkey with a huge and very gentle set of eyes. The night monkey, or owl monkey, is the only truly nocturnal monkey in the world. It is a small, soft-furred monkey, and it has enormous brown owl-like eyes which allow it to gather the faintest glimmer of moonlight and see perfectly in the dark. They live in small nuclear family groups, a mother, a father, and their young. And they are monogamous, forming a pair bond that lasts for life. The father is the primary caregiver, and he will carry the baby on his back, bringing it to the mother only to nurse. They are the gentle, quiet, and devoted family men of the nighttime canopy. C7.
There is a small, unassuming fish in the Amazon called the wimpled piranha. It is a piranha, but it is not a carnivore. It is a lepidophage, which means it is a scale eater. It is a parasite of other fish. It has specialized, sharp, raking teeth, and it will swim up very fast to another larger fish. And in a high-speed hit-and-run attack, it will bite off and eat a small patch of the other fish's scales. The other fish is not usually killed, and its scales will grow back. It is a strange and specialized form of grazing, a fish that has learned to live not on plants or meat, but on the living, protective armor of its neighbors. The Amazon is home to a giant aerial anteater. The giant anteater is a large and truly bizarre mammal. It can be 6 feet long with a long, bushy, plume-like tail and a long, thin, tubular snout that looks like a giant tapering straw. It has no teeth at all. It has huge, powerful front claws which it uses to tear open the hard, concrete-like termite mounds. It will then insert its long, thin, 2-foot-long, sticky, worm-like tongue, which it can flick in and out 150 times a minute, lapping up thousands of termites. It is a silent, nomadic, and wonderfully, perfectly specialized creature, a gentle, walking and living vacuum cleaner of the forest floor. Tinks. In the Amazon, there is a giant beetle, the Hercules beetle. It is one of the largest flying insects in the world. The male is a true giant, and he has a spectacular and seemingly oversized weapon. He has 2 long black forward-facing horns, one on his head and one on his thorax, which form a giant pincer-like claw. This pincer can be as long or even longer than his entire body. He is not, however, a predator. He is a gentle giant, and he uses these colossal and imposing horns for only one thing: to battle other males in a contest of leverage to win the right to mate. It is a living, walking, and harmless piece of medieval jousting armor. 170, the Amazon is home to a spider that does not live on land. The diving bell spider of the Amazon, Argyroneta, is a true aquatic, air-breathing spider. It lives its entire life under the water. It does this by spinning a small, dense silk web, like a tiny, underwater silk tent, which it anchors to an aquatic plant. It will then swim to the surface, trap a tiny, silver bubble of air with the fine, hydrophobic hairs on its abdomen, and carry this bubble down, releasing it under the silk tent. It will repeat this over and over until the diving bell is filled with a large, stable bubble of air, a tiny, dry, underwater house where it can rest, eat, and even raise its young. 171, there is a small social bird in the Amazon called the green-rumped parrotlet. It is the smallest of all the Amazonian parrots, a tiny, bright green, compact bird with a short, wedge-shaped tail. They are incredibly social, and they are one of the only parrots that are not strictly monogamous. They live in large, complex social flocks, and they will often have helpers at the nest. These helpers are usually young birds from a previous brood that will stay with their parents and help them to raise and feed the next new set of tiny, helpless chicks. It is a small, chattering, and deeply cooperative feathered family. 2. The Amazon is home to a fish that is a living and very, very thin line. The slender pipfish is a relative of the seahorse, but it is stretched, impossibly thin. It looks in every way like a single, floating green or brown blade of grass, or a dead twig. It is a masterpiece of mimesis, or mimicry. It will float vertically in the water, head down in the dense, aquatic vegetation, and it is perfectly and utterly invisible. It is a lie-and-wait predator, and it will hover unseen until a tiny planktonic shrimp or a fish fry drifts by, and it will then, with a tiny pip of its tube-like snout, inhale its unsuspecting meal. 3. There is a frog in the Amazon that is a master of a very specific sound. The slender-legged tree frog, Osteocephalus, has a call that is uncannily like the sound of a small wooden mallet or a tock hitting a hollow wooden block. The males will call back and forth, tock, 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 and their calls will often be mistaken for a strange nocturnal woodpecker or a hollow seed pod falling and hitting a log. It is a sharp, percussive and deeply rhythmic sound, a tiny amphibian and invisible drummer beating a gentle and hollow rhythm in the dark, wet night. 74. The Amazon is home to a creature that is almost mythical. The bush dog is a strange and very shy wild dog. It is very undog-like. It has a short, squat, badger-like body with very short legs, a short bushy tail, a reddish-brown coat, and small rounded ears. It is semi-aquatic and it has webbed feet, making it a powerful swimmer. They are highly social and they hunt in small packs, communicating with a series of high-pitched, whine-like whistles and chirps, not barks. They are so secretive and so rarely seen. They were for a long time thought to be extinct, a living ghost dog of the deep jungle floor. 175. There is a small, unassuming brown bird in the Amazon called the chestnut-winged foliage gleaner. It is a professional nest finder, but not for its own brood. This bird is a kleptoparasite. It does not build its own nest. Instead, it spends its time silently and patiently watching other birds. It will watch as other birds like a slaty ant wren build their beautiful intricate cup nests, and then just as the nest is finished, the foliage gleaner will move in and attack the other bird and steal its perfectly constructed and move-in ready home for itself. It is a tiny, feathered and patient thief. And so our gentle drift down the great river, the Amazon, draws to a close. We have floated on its brown, sediment-rich waters and on its dark, tea-coloured streams. We have seen the river that flows in the sky and the ghost river that flows deep in the earth. We have seen a world that is not a single, solid land, but a pulsing, breathing, half-water world where the forests flood and the fish swim among the trees. We have felt the immensity of this place, a force of nature so vast it changes the ocean and so gentle it provides a home for the tiniest glass-winged butterfly. We have seen the flashes of impossible colour, the neon red of the ibis, the electric blue of the morpho, and the pure gold of the lion tamarin. We have heard the bong of the bellbird and the deep, windy roar of the howler monkey. It is a world of 1 trillion specialized lives, all woven together by the thread of the great flowing water. And just as this river flows through the heart of a continent, that same ancient water flows through you. The water in your body has been on a journey just as long, moving through clouds and rain and rivers for eons. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, it was all forged in the heart of a star that lived and died long before this river was even born. You are a part of this vast, breathing and deeply interconnected world. You are a part of its wonder. But for now, the journey is over. It is time for your own quiet journey into rest. There is nothing left to see, nothing left to learn. Your only task is to let the gentle, flowing current of sleep pull you under. Let your mind be as quiet and as deep as the Blackwater rivers. Let your dreams be as soft and as gentle as a sloth's breath. May you find a place of deep and peaceful and well-deserved rest. Good night.